Hi, I'm Bhanu. I'm one of the co-founders of Finshots. So there were like two good engineering colleges in the place where I grew up, in Guntur. Right? I mean, they think I'm in top 100 colleges in the country, maybe. So my whole focus was, somehow I should get into those two colleges because I have heard my school seniors and a lot of people kind of getting good jobs, going abroad and stuff. But once I was in 10th class, we had a science teacher who kind of came from a different school, and then he kind of prompted me saying, "Ki, I think you should go try for IIT. I mean, you should not just settle down for the local engineering colleges. Maybe you should go and try it out." So that's when I was introduced to this something called IIT that exists.
Okay, okay. So you got into IIT Roorkee, I believe, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So what was that experience like for you, those 4 years at IIT Roorkee?
Oh, I would say pretty crazy experience. Mainly because I so kind of never stayed away from my parents, right? Or at least I was completely stayed only in Andhra. Now, Roorkee is like a complete opposite of what you have back at home, right? Let it be the weather, the food habits, the language. I mean, I can barely speak Hindi, right? And I barely and I rarely tried any North Indian cuisines or anything. So, and the temperatures there was kind of again very harsh, like the temperatures would get to like 5 degrees as well, right? And I grew up in entirely tropical atmosphere, so the first couple of years were pretty harsh. But yeah, after that you kind of get used to it, because once you're there, like you can't obviously go back, and you can't you don't want to leave the IIT as well, right? So we slowly kind of got accustomed to that lifestyle.
So, IIT Roorkee, then at the end of your fourth year, what did you end up deciding to do next?
I wanted to kind of go for an MBA. I don't know why I did that, but yeah, but I couldn't kind of score well in the CAT, and I ended up kind of taking a job. And at the same time, I also wanted to I was focused on getting a better job as well, because that would kind of help me kind of get out of the regular middle class life, right? That was like the first window for me, the first opportunity for me, right? So yeah, I ended up working with Nestle India. I joined there as an engineering executive. I mean, I was responsible for taking care of the automation and maintenance of the noodles manufacturing plant.
So, then what next? During those almost 3 years that you spent at Nestle, like what did you decide you want to do with your life? What did you learn in that experience?
Um, well, I mean, I think for the first 2 years at least, I was continuing. I didn't have any major plans as such. I mean, mainly because I'm earning good money and I'm able to send back, money to my parents. Kind of, things are working out. So I kind of and the other thing is, I was in Goa back then, so I was posted in one of Nestle's Goa's plant. So yeah, I mean, like, okay, what can an engineering student expect, right? I mean, you're earning
Right.
money, you have your freedom, and you're in Goa. So I kind of, I found good friends as well there, good co-workers, good friends. So kind of chilled out for, let's say, 1 to 2 years. But then again, when we look back, okay, what is it kind of the Nestle's experience, or what is my future going to look like? So I was looking for some kind of exit options, and so MBA kind of felt like a good option, because it would open up a lot of new opportunities as well, right? I mean, once I get into the B school, I can kind of decide where I want to head, right? Yeah, so in third year of my work I decided to kind of go ahead and give CAT.
So by this time, like did you start developing a habit of reading business news or financial news, or like the seeds of what you eventually started? Did that happen at this time, or did it happen once you cleared the cat and joined IIM Ahmedabad?
Well, to be honest, I never liked reading stuff, especially business or finance stuff. But again, during the CAT interview preparation days, right, I would, force myself into reading all this stuff, because CAT interviews, they may ask you like what's happening with the current economy, or, what is this policy about? How is this going to have an impact and stuff, right? So I kind of forced myself into, reading this stuff. But I mean, it's just like, you have like no other option there, right? I mean, either you read and you kind of clear the interview, or you kind of screw up the interview. So I just kind of forced myself into it. But yeah.
Okay. So how was the interview like for you?
um well, I think I am the Birds interview was the craziest one. So I mean, when you prepare for these interviews, right, you can kind of lead the interview in a way, right? For example, how you end, or you can kind of direct it to some extent in which direction you want the interviewers to proceed. But in I am Ahmedabad's interview, like, they didn't give me any chance to do anything on my own, right? At one point they asked me a probability question, right? So it's a pretty simple question, right? They gave me a book and said, if you have to pick a random page in this 200-page book, what is the chance that the last digit will be a zero? And I kind of freaked out there, mainly because I mean it's such a simple question. So the first thing that went into my head is, okay, is the panel thinking I'm that dumb they're asking me such a simple question, right? Yeah, but I answered it, and the next question that followed is again kind of put me in the same bucket again. They asked me to draw a graph of y is equal to x square, right? So that is something which any 10th class kid can do, right? Yeah, but they asked me about politics, they asked me about Nestle's experience. I mean, it's like bunch of stuff all over the place. Like you wouldn't expect what the follow-up question or what the next question is going to be.
Okay. How many IMs did you get into? Like, from where all did you get final offers?
I think I got all of them apart from, I think, Lucknow. Yeah.
So you decided to go to IIM Ahmedabad. What were those 2 years like for you?
Uh, those 2 years, I think, were the the best of the entire student life. I would say my entire student life. Mainly because the curriculum there is kind of pretty rigorous. As in, they'll just every day you're going to be pushed to the wall, right? You'll have like very little recourse, or you'll have very little time to kind of go back and forth, right? I mean, at least in your undergrad you have like lots of free time to go around, to explore stuff. But in IIMs, it's just like the professor is going to give you an assignment or a sort, and you have to submit it by midnight. And the same thing is going to happen with four other courses you are having at the same time, right? And on top of it, the competition here is again kind of cutthroat competition, right? People who are making a decision to come to B schools are typically or already have a work ex. I mean, you are at a much better position to make a decision whether you want to do an MBA or not, right? Compared to undergrad, you're just going with the flow. But for MBAs, it doesn't typically happen. Only people who have that resolve or who have decided that MBA is for them is going to be there. And on top of it, you have the best of the best students from all the engineering colleges and other commerce colleges coming there. So the competition was again is pretty intense. But again, you get like a very good exposure to a lot of stuff, because most of the learning happens with your peer-to-peer learning, right? There's very little you can actually study off the textbooks.
Okay. And where did you do your internship?
I interned with Amazon.
And you got a PPO from them also, right?
Yeah, yes, 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 yes.
So why didn't you join Amazon eventually? Like when you finished up with IIM Ahmedabad?
No, I think even before I got the offer for them. So you have your internships in April and May, typically every year, and the typically companies kind of declare or they kind of disclose this PPOs anywhere from June to December, right? Depending upon their internal requirements and stuff. And I think my Amazon PPO kind of came in November or so, and but by September, I think, yeah, we kind of decided that we wanted to do something else.
So who's we over here? Yeah.
Yeah, so Shreyat and I have been pretty close friends right from the first day of the college, right? And I mean we did a lot of what do you would call group projects, right? So in B schools you have a lot of case competitions as well, right? You have your Tatas, Birlas, and all these companies coming and conducting a lot of case competitions as well. So we participated a lot of them. So that kind of gave us like a first hand experience of how the life in corporate is going to be, at least as in terms of what problems are we going to solve once we join the corporates, right? And at the same time, our internships also kind of provided a very good window into, okay, what is the scope of work that we will be getting into. And we didn't like any of that, right? So Shreyat and I kind of were kind of exploring, okay, what can we do, right? But we were never kind of clear on where we will go. And I think at the same time, so Pawan was my dorm mate, so we lived in the same hostel there. So he was exploring bunch of stuff, right? I mean, he didn't want to get into the corporate again, right? And he did some project with Professor Ankur Sinha there on why demat penetration in the country is low, right? And he figured there are some problems why a lot of people in India don't participate in the stock markets per se. Now, if you look at US and China, right, the percentage of population that participates in stock markets is in double digits, and in India it's like hardly 1 to 2%. right? So he thought, I'm going to, let me try and build something which will help people come and basically learn more about stock investing, or basically people who will get into it, right? Yeah. So I used to discuss with him. I mean, since he is in the dorm, and I kind of like criticizing or discussing more about products, like any product that I use, I kind of just try to be the devil's advocate there and do. So with Pawan, I used to do that a lot. I mean, anything that he's doing, I would kind of comment, I would kind of push him back, stuff like that. And so Shreyt again was kind of completely convinced that he's not going to get into any corporate jobs. And I was at a place where I was kind of shortlisting companies. Okay, like these are the only two three companies maybe where I can find some work that I like. But so I think, yeah, by September, so Pawan has pitched his idea to Shreyt, right? So this is what I'm going to do, and I'm looking for a CTO, right? So he wanted to build a gamification of sorts in stock markets, where you come and you'll have like a practice sessions, let's say, right? Like mock trading, or sessions like this. And from there, the platform will kind of help you learn. And then before you kind of deploy your own capital, you can play or you can practice with virtual money. And then slowly you move migrate towards you deploying your own capital there, right? And he wanted a CTO. And Shreyit, he's a computer science engineer, but he never liked computer science, right? But he still agreed, saying, okay, I'll be your CTO, and we can let's go and do something. I mean, he's just kind of so much not into this stuff. He's just kind of looking for an escape, right? Yeah. And so once Shreyit jumped onto the ship, he kind of again convinced me also, to get onto the act, right? And so Shreyat and I have like a very good working rapport, or we kind of complement each other's skills, right? I'm more on the what I would call quantitative stuff, right? More of a math guy, I can say. And Shreyat, he's of the more of a creative side of like left brain right brain sorts, right? Yeah. So I thought, I mean, in case if Shreyat is again doing right, so yeah, if me, I can kind of go ahead and experiment with this. Let's see what happens from there.
So, how did that idea of encouraging people to invest in stock markets, like basically encouraging layman to invest in the stock market, how did that become Finshots?
Oh, so like I said, right? I mean, we had like very little idea back then, and we were just kind of it's just an escape for us, right? So so IIM has this incubation center, right? CIIE, where they incubate startups both from IIM, from elsewhere, from across the country as well, right? Right. And when we pitched the idea, so we have this fellowship program called IIM Mavericks Fellowship, where any graduating students, if they want to pursue alternate career options, let's say like entrepreneurship, or some let's say like in social NGOs or some social initiatives, let's say, the college is going to support you for the next 2 years, right? As in every month the college will provide you with a minimal stipend. So we used to get 40,000 from the college every month, right? Yeah. So it's like you take care of your basic expenses, so that you need not be worrying about your livelihood, and you can focus on whatever new venture that you want to experiment with. And for this entire thing, there is a professor panel to whom you have to pitch your idea. And in case if they see, okay, these people are qualified enough, or this idea has a merit to be pursued or to be supported, the college is going to support you, right? Yeah. So when we pitch the idea, we pitch the same thing, right? We're going to create a tech solution that will help people to do all this stuff, right? I think this was in December, right? And we were selected for this fellowship program, and we kind of started working as well. Okay, we'll do a little bit of market research here and there, and we'll kind of figure it out. And once we kind of get out of the college, we're going to be fully completely working on this thing. And what happened was, we wanted to be a stockbroker, right? Just like how Zerodha is a stockbroker. So our plan is that we'll train people, and once they learn, they can kind of come and trade on our platform itself, and that's where we're going to kind of earn money from. So we went to National Stock Exchange, NSC, in Ahmedabad. Okay, that we want to be a broker, and we want to get a license. And they kind of were happy, very happy to help us out with all the stuff. But one of the things they said kind of blew our minds. You need, I think, what, 3 to 5 crores of capital to start off with if you want to be a broker. So that was like completely out of the question for us. I mean, all three of us are again from middle class families. Like we had no backups or anything else with us, right? So that's when we decided, okay, I mean, we'll try something different, maybe, if not, the brokerage firm.
Hmm. So by when did this meeting with NSE happen, when you realized that this will not work out?
I think this was in, not sure, but maybe in January or February.
So still before the placements only.
Yeah, but you have already signed out of the placement. So if you want to get into this fellowship, right? So you have to kind of clearly indicate to the campus that you're not participating in the campus placements. Yeah, I mean, like I said, right. So since we didn't want to go there, right, we thought we'll figure out something. If not this, but we still wanted to continue with what that we started off with.
So then, like, what did it morph into, or what were the pivot you made?
So the first pivot, I think, when we started out, right, we had broadly two problems. One is the information overload, right? There's so much of information on these stocks and other things that it was pretty difficult for people to, make sense of, right? And once we graduated, now we had like, full time in our hands, right, to go and do market research. So for the next 3 months, I think April, May, and June, we did, we met close to 200 to 250 people in and around Ahmedabad, Gujarat, and stuff. Right? I mean, we met from a person who is running a small pawn shop to a HNI who is managing like 600-700 crores of money. Right? So we kind of understood, okay, how these people are investing, what is it that they are doing. So I think Gujarat contributes to close to 70% of the entire investing, investors in the country, right? So you meet anybody there, the person is going to give you funda about where to invest, where not to invest, which company is hot right now, right, and everything. So uh, we met one of the research, the research firms there, like stock research firms, and they said that there's an IPO that is coming up. It's in SMEs, small medium enterprises, right? And he's like, we don't have a lot of time at hand to analyze this company fully. So how about you guys do something on this, right? And then we can see how good your research is, or what is it that you guys want to simplify and stuff. So we worked on it for a week, and we kind of published a small report about what is this company about, and should you invest or should you not invest, basically what is happening with this company. Yeah, and so our whole objective was that we first impress this one research firm, and from there we can, so they said, like, in case if you like what you guys are publishing, we will push it across to all of our clients, and you can see from where you can go from there. So we published one report for them, they liked it, and they kind of asked us to see if we can do more. And so what happened was, I think they added us to, so most investors on this, at least the full-time investors, are typically parts of some WhatsApp or some other WhatsApp groups, and they added us to this WhatsApp group, I believe. And yeah, so from there we started kind of covering these IPOs, SME IPOs, because there is nobody out there kind of covering them. The mainstream IPOs, your Money Control, Economic Times, a bunch of other stuff typically do.
What were the kind of companies that you were covering, and how did you get enough information to make a report on them?
I mean, so we primarily relied on the information available on the internet. So when when these companies go for an IPO, right? So they file a very big document with the regulators detailing about what the company is, what business prospects and stuff, right? So more or less, we would analyze stuff from there.
Okay. So you started doing company research or IPO research. Then how did that morph to the next stage?
So we did this, I think, almost for like 4 or 5 months, and then we realized that there's not a big market for this, right? As in, so I mean, and we kept meeting a lot of people along the way, right, to get better understanding and stuff. And one of the gentlemen that we met, he told us that there's no point in even thinking about doing anything on the SME IPOs, mainly because it's like the dark pool of the entire stock market space, which is primarily used for people to launder money and do bunch of stuff. I mean, essentially, you may think this company is doing great and stuff, but it's like the promoters and the investors, the kind of everybody is in the game together, right? Yeah, it's more or less like sort of a system built into, what I would say is to fool the retail investors per se, right? Yeah, so he kind of showed us the dark side of the SME IPOs, right? I mean, we were so naive back then that if you publish a good report and you highlight all the things, right, people will be able to make a better decision of it. But that was clearly not happening anywhere. Yeah, so we kind of decided ki, why not shift to covering mainstream stocks, right? Because they have much bigger audience. The audience for SME market is pretty small, and again it's kind of niche, and not a lot of stuff happening over there.
How did you think the monetization would happen in covering stocks, whether it is SME IPOs or mainstream stocks? What did you think the monetization was going to be? Because all these things are like freely available on the internet.
You're right. I mean, I don't think we kind of bothered about the monetization back then. Mainly because, right? I mean, when we started out, everybody out there would kind of tell us like, "Who are you guys in this space?" Right? I mean, even for example, the people at CIIE, or when we pitch this idea that what we're going to do is we're going to take these complex reports and put it in a simple language for people to understand, right? People kind of laughed at us, thinking that what we are doing is pretty stupid, right? Even when when we'd meet these gentlemen in the market, right? Yeah, so for us, I think there the focus was initially to at least show them that we are capable of doing something there, right? I mean, obviously we didn't have any experience, right? I mean, we didn't take a lot of finance courses in the campus, neither we invested in the markets before, right? Yeah, so we would spend a lot of time just trying to read as many books as we can on stocks, on investing, on understanding business models and stuff, right? Yeah, so we were fairly focused on just to prove that this idea will work, right? If you simplify the content for people, it's going to help them make better decisions in the market.
So then you shifted to mainstream stocks, and that was again through like circulating PDFs on WhatsApp groups, or
No, no, no. I think by then we kind of launched a very minimal website where we would post our content. It's like a small blog website, and we would circulate these articles on WhatsApp. So one of the things that we did back then was we leveraged WhatsApp as a tool to reach out to the fellow readers, right? So it's like you want updates from us, subscribe on this WhatsApp, and whenever we publish a new article, you're going to get a message directly on WhatsApp. So it kind of helped us because a lot of people would simply forward our content to their friends, or they'll forward it to other groups, right?
but this was still largely investment advice. Like
Yes, yes,
you
yes.
would research a stock and say buy, sell, hold.
No, 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 no. We never did that. So one of the learnings that we had, when we were researching and when we were studying a lot about stocks, is that you can. I mean, it's pretty difficult for you to guess which stocks, or should you buy, should you not buy, right? So there are even a lot of experiments which were conducted in US, which kind of highlight that monkeys are better at picking stocks than your experts on Wall Street. I think I can't recall the professor who conducted this experiment. So he simply put monkeys, and he asked the monkeys to throw darts on the wall. So whichever stock it hits, right, he's going to buy it. And on the other hand, he had all these Wall Street big Ivy School analysts coming in and doing the stock picking. I think it's the monkeys outperformed it, right? I mean, it's not because they're incapable or anything. It's just that there are so many factors, right, that play into this, right? I mean, your small research or your mathematical model is not going to make a cut over there.
So what was your value add? Like for someone reading that, it was like what to help them understand if I should invest in this stock or not.
So our focus was that, so on a lot of stocks, right? I may feel it's an investable stock, and for you this may not be an investable stock, mainly because your risk appetite and my risk appetite are different. Now, when most people publish the stock reports, they'll simply give like one rating on this, right? Now, yeah, it can be like one fit solution for everybody. So what our belief is that you provide the user with all the information that is required to analyze a stock, and you make it so simple for him, right? He understands everything about this company by the end of this article, and he will be in a better position to make a decision for himself. Yeah, so we would never give a buy, sell, or a hold call, or any of those calls, right? We would simply present the entire picture about this company, right? What this company does, okay, why they are doing this, what is working out, what is not working out, and we leave it at that.
Hmm. Okay. Then what was the next pivot?
Oh no, I wouldn't call it like a big pivot per se, but we kind of started covering more macroeconomic things as well, right? But
And this stock research already had the branding of Finshots, or like when
no,
did
no,
the
it was under the name Finception. And yeah, for us, the bigger problem there was we were kind of running out of money. right? So I mean,
What did you need money for? Because this was all just intellectual labor, right?
yeah, I mean, at the same time, I mean, for us to kind of analyze about these companies and publish reports every week, right? For example, if you pick one stock and you wanted to write about it, you may or may not find really interesting stuff about it. It's like, you research 4 or 5 different stocks and you'll find one of it to be interesting enough for you to talk about, right? So we kind of needed like more brains to work upon. And we kind of had like couple, I think, what, 4 or 5 interns with us easily, and we used to pay them 5,000 a month, right? And so all of this coming from the 40,000 we would get from the college, right? We didn't have a lot of savings as well, because neither of us, none of us are planning for getting into entrepreneurship or anything. So we had like 4 or 5 interns working with us all the time, and we would pay them like 5 6K from the 40,000 we would get from the college. And on top of it, our education loans repayment is going to start in a couple of months, right? So all three of us graduated with 20 lakhs each education loans, right? Yeah, and the EMI for that will typically getting come to what, like 30K a month, right? So for the first year you have that moratorium period, and that will kind of soon end in your March or April, right? And so we went to the banks, we asked them ki, can you extend this for us by another 6 months maybe, right now we're not in a position to go ahead and make this 30,000 monthly payments. And at the same time we were not able to expand our content reach as well, mainly because we couldn't hire a lot of people, right?
So, what kind of numbers were you doing then, like around this period of Feb?
I think by February we had 3,000 subscribers maybe.
Okay. So you on the Finception website, you had like a email list for which you had 3,000 subscribers.
Yes, 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 yes.
This was a daily email.
No, 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 no. That was like weekly, not even weekly. I would say once in 10 days, right? Yeah, because it's like the interns, me and Pawan would do all the research, right, and then give it to Shrehit. And the entire magic for Finception, or why it worked, is the language in which it is presented. Because there are people out there who can provide better research than us. I mean, people who are veterans in this industry, right? But the real differentiator came from the way Shrehit wrote the content there, right? The way you present a complex business model, or you talk about complex financial metrics in a in a layman's language, right? If you have to explain return on capital employed, or what is your inventory turnover days, right? So you have to kind of put it in language. So Shrehit was doing that. And yeah, the research, the writing, and all of it easily took us like a week to 10 days, right? And we couldn't expand because we didn't have any money. And so Shreyat and I even started teaching at time for the CAT students, and we would kind of get like 10,000 a month, and it's just like a part-time teaching. So that with again this 10,000 we would hire a couple more interns with us.
Okay. So then what? Like you're almost like with your back to the wall now. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think Lokesh, my brother, kind of moved back to India. I think he joined us in I would say October, November. So he was working with so he's from IIT Delhi, and he was working with Samsung South Korea. Right, you hear those 1 crore packages on the internet, right? So he's one of those kids.
okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. So he left his high-paying job and everything there, and he didn't. He wanted to try something, on his own, right? Yeah. So we said, why not, come, sit with us. We'll see if you can do anything here, or if you want to do something on your own, right? And he has a lot of interest in finance, and he used to invest, as well in stocks. He used to do trading, bunch of other stuff. So he joined us. He was working with us, and so when we were running out of money, we kind of did like couple things, right, just to keep the Finception thing floating for a few more months, right? Maybe we can figure out something from there, right? So we pitched to, I think, almost 25 to 30 VCs. Right? That would be my sole job back then. And we had 2,000 subscribers. We kind of even had a small celebration, and we thought now VCs are going to come after us. But I mean, we were so stupid, right? I mean, we didn't think that okay, our business is, I mean, at least the Finception business is not something any VC would want to fund, right? Yeah, and because we are from IIM, kind of everybody would be at least courteous enough to talk to us, right? And yeah, after first call, nobody would get back to us again.
Okay. So you were pitching to VCs. What was the pitch like? Where was the money going to come from?
The money. So our plan was we're going to have basically make this content like a paid subscription, right? For example, if you're a full-time investor, we're going to promise you that every week, let's say, right, you're going to get, every week or twice a week. Once we scale up, you're going to get good stuff that will help you make better decisions in the stock markets.
Mm-hmm. So something like the Ken for investors.
Yeah, yes, 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 yes. And we met, one HNI in Ahmedabad. So he runs his own proprietary trading as well as stock investment investing, right? So he read our reports and he liked them. So he asked us, if we can work for him, and basically he will give us some company names, and we have to provide like a detailed research report on that, basis which he can take a call on what to do with those companies. Should he invest or should he not invest? I mean, he's a big time investor, right? So we started working for him again. We would charge him like what 10-15K per report per se, right? Yeah. And at the same time, Lokesh kind of caught up and said, okay, how about we develop some trading algorithms, right? So he kind of like he's like a math and fin guy, so he kind of has his hand in experimenting with various trading algorithms, right? So we went ahead and pitched this to many HNIs there in Ahmedabad, where it's like it's like a proprietary trading algorithm. We are going to do give the entire algorithm, and you deploy your capital, and we can take like a profit sharing, or basically we can figure out some or the other way, right? Yeah, we almost signed up a couple of investors as well for this, right? Yeah, but I mean, we didn't kind of at the same time we had a chance to meet Nitin Kamath from Zerodha. Yeah. So I think this was in April, I believe. Yeah. So Jet Airways was almost about to shut down, right? And we were kind of just trying to do anything different, or something that will kind of give us a big break, right? Because we're not going anywhere. I mean, we're growing at like what 500 subscribers a month, but we're not kind of moving too much, right? So I think one of our interns, the design interns, Urvashi, she gave an idea that why not we make a small video on Jet Airways, right? So we made one a bar chart race, right? So how Jet Airways started, and it was at one point like the leading airlines in India, and how it kind of is on the brink of bankruptcy now, right? And that video went viral, right? Overnight we became so famous on Twitter, LinkedIn. Like the video is all over the internet, right? We got I think close to 2 to 3 million views on it together on all the platforms, right? And one gentleman at Zerodha watched this video, and he pushed it to, and he went to our website, right, to see okay what these guys are doing. And he read our stuff, he liked it, and he forwarded this to Karthik Rangappa, the gentleman who built the entire Zerodha varsity modules and stuff. And he liked it, and he kind of sent it to Nitin also liked the content. So they wanted to see if we can do something together, right? Yeah. And we got a chance to meet Nitin in May. And yeah, so when we came, we didn't even have a pitch deck, right? I mean, we brought one, but we didn't even show it to him. Like, I think it was the best meetings that we had in the last 1.5 years, right? So it hardly lasted for 40 minutes, I believe. And it's more about what you guys want to do and what Nitin is planning to do, right? So in one of his interviews, I think Nitin said that Zerodha is a big fish in a small pond, right? Now, until and unless you grow the pond, you're not going to get big, right? It's like the investing base in India is so small. Even if you are a leading market player, you're not going to be that big, right? So they were planning to, I mean, they had a lot of plans to kind of increase the base, the number of people who are in the capital markets ecosystem, right? And with that same initiative, they launched this Zerodha Varsity. And even in fact, we learned a lot of stuff from the same website, Zerodha Varsity, right? Yeah. And we told our plan is again the same, right? We want to simplify stuff, and we want to make content more accessible to people, right? We want to grow the ecosystem, right? It's just that both Zerodha and us had a very similar goal, right? That we wanted to increase, or we want to bring more people into this ecosystem. And Nitin said like, cool, then I know I'll support you guys, tell me what you want. right? So for us, I mean, one thing is that we just needed some capital so that we can maybe hire a couple more writers, right, and push out more stuff and then see, right? And we ended up raising money from Nitin, right? And yeah, we met, and the next day kind of exchanged couple of emails, and that's it. We raised our seed round from Zerodha.
Okay. So is that the only investment you've raised so far?
Yeah, yes.
So, then what was the game plan then? Like, when did Finshots as a brand get launched? Was this after you raised the funding?
Yes. So along with Finception, right? I mean, our initial hypothesis was, not entirely correct. As in, we thought that a new people will basically come into the markets and trade because, or invest per se, not even trade, because we are helping them with this. But what we realized is that most of the people who are reading our stuff are people who are already in the stock markets, right? So they are just bored of reading this dense report from other research firms out there, and they found Finception's content is simple and easy to read, right? So it's like we're not bringing in more people into the ecosystem, right? We're just helping the existing people, existing investors, to kind of we're just easing their troubles, right? Yeah. And so two things for us, right, was we need to push more content, as in, like, once in a week or once in 10 days is not going to make the cut. And we need to be talking about topics that have a wider reach. For example, if I talk about Asian Paints, okay, only the people who have already invested in Asian Paints or who are actually considering Asian Paints as an investment opportunity might read our content, right? Somebody like you, let's say you never invested, or somebody who is not in this market, he doesn't care much about Asian Paints, right? Yeah. Now, if you want to basically get these people interested in anything in finance and business, right, you need to talk about a wide range of topics, right? And yeah, and the second thing is that people's attention spans are pretty less, right? Our articles used to be like 12-15 minute reads, and that's kind of, again, a very niche audience would actually spend so much of time, right? I mean, the current, the generation and these people want much shorter form, easy to digest content, right? Yeah. So that's when we decided, we need something a bit different. And even before people can actually get into stocks and stuff, they need to understand more about what's happening in the entire economy as such, right? Why specific policies are required, right? Why specific companies make certain business decisions, right? Yeah. So that's when we decided, we'll get into something that is short form, high frequency, and content that has, like, a bigger audience base. Yeah. So we had this idea of Finshots back in December 2018 itself, right? But we couldn't get anything, ahead in this, mainly because we didn't have the resources, and we didn't want to let go of whatever we have built with Finception till date. I mean, if you have to start Finshots, it's going to be like, the existing audience are not going to find it that relevant, right? So whatever, 1,000 2,000 subscribers that we have built in is kind of, it's like, you lose everything that you have built in the last 6-7 months overnight, right? And we were not ready to kind of let that go, right? Yeah. But once we kind of secured an investment from Zerodha, we know that we can now have resources at hand, we can experiment a bit, and from here we can figure out what we can do, right? We can take some chances, at least. Even, for example, if this thing doesn't go up, right, we'll still be able to survive for a few more months to try out new things and then see where we go from here.
So then you started Finshots when, like which month?
We started this in August 2019. I think we first Finshots we released is on 16th August.
And you used social media to spread the word about it, and
Yeah. So by then, I think we built a small, a niche of audience for us on Twitter, and we were not on LinkedIn, that big back then. We were primarily on Twitter, and we had almost, I think, 10,000 subscribers on Finception, right? Yeah, by May June. So our entire initial users for Finshots kind of again came from the Finception audience itself, right? And yeah.
okay. So and how did the growth happen there? Like, if you can tell me, like subscriber base, like at what rate did it grow, and what really was driving that growth? Like in your analysis, what drove that growth?
I think in the initial Finception days, we were pretty much focused on. So the entire team is primarily focused on content itself, right? how do we generate good content out there, right? We hardly worked upon increasing our reach, right? We didn't work a lot upon distribution. We were active on social media, but we didn't have a dedicated plan on how we are going to expand this, right? And I mean, we tried a couple of things with Finception, but it's just that we couldn't get those things really going, right? Yeah. And with Finshots, what we did is, Pawan and I, both of our responsibility is just increasing the reach with Finshots, right? And Shrehit, and we have another Akshay, right, who interned with us almost for like 9 months before we kind of hired him full time. I think he's our first employee as well, right? Yeah. So both of them would work on Finshots, right? I mean, like, it's like we had like no it's like completely walled out thing, like you take care of content and we are going to ensure that this content gets good distribution, right? Yeah. And we kind of started being very active on social media, right? We would post stuff, we would post interesting stuff, we would try different things. For example, a lot of infographics and other things that we see, right? So we tried them during Finception days, but it's just that we couldn't scale those things up a lot back then. But now we have some resources at hand, so we mainly worked on distribution part, right?
And what were the numbers like? Like how many subscribers in the first month, and how did it grow?
I think in the first month we had around 15K. I mean, because I think in first 2 days itself we had like 7,000 subscribers coming in, right? From Finception, yeah, right. And I think by end of November 2019 we were at 50,000. Yeah. So what we do is, most of at least the initial users came from your undergrad and your MBA colleges, right? Yeah. So what would Pawan do is he would reach out to all these colleges. So every college has this finance, economics, or commerce clubs, right? They every week or monthly they have their own newsletters and bunch of other stuff that they push out to their students. And what we said is, great, why not try our content, right? Now this is going to be helpful for you to be up to date on what's happening in in the business, finance, and the economy world. And more often than not, your group discussion topics at B schools is going to be on one of these things, right? They're not going to ask, I mean, give you political topics, but it's more of, let's say, now, whether, for example, okay, is GST helpful, or should GST rates be cut? What happens then? Stuff like that. And with Finshots, what we do is we kind of get deeper into these issues. Right now, if you read the regular newspapers, you get the headlines. Now, you may not know why and how things are happening, behind those headlines. With Finshots, you get the entire overview, right? You just need to spend like 3 minutes to get the entire understanding of any topic that we're talking about.
So, and what is the current subscriber base that you have now?
Right now, we are at 1,75,000.
So it's almost like viral growth, like from 15,000 in the first month to like 1,75,000 is a fairly fast ramp up
Yeah,
for a
yeah, yeah.
newsletter. I mean, I doubt there's any other newsletter which would have seen this kind of scale.
Yeah, correct. I mean, at least, yeah, we haven't come across any other newsletters operating at this scale. I mean, there are I mean, there are many in US, but in India, I think we are one of the few big newsletters out there.
So, what do you think is your long-term play now? Are you still thinking of the Ken kind of a model where it becomes a paid subscription to access this, or what's the monetization plan?
Um, well, at least for now, we don't want to monetize Finshots directly. At least the content monetization is not on the cards for us. So, along with all these things, right? As we are working, so we were pretty approachable to our audience on WhatsApp. At least in the back in the Finception days. So a lot of people would kind of again write back to us saying, I have this much of money. What should I do, right? Or how should I go about investing? Or basically, it's like you have a lot of financial questions, right? Now there isn't anybody out there who is going to help you with making these decisions, right? For example, a lot of my friends from IIM would ask me this. Okay, so I mean, all of us graduated with 20 lakhs of loan, and these people are earning money. Now, what is a better option? Should I repay the entire loan as soon as possible, right? Or should I, because you get some interest benefit on, the income tax benefit on the interest that you pay for your loans, right? Now, what is an optimal solution for this, right? And similarly, for example, okay, I'm saving 50K now. Where should my money go, right? Even after you're studying at these colleges, at big colleges, you don't have any clue, right? Mainly because none of our curriculum talks about anything about financial literacy per se, right? What is, a good financial decision, what is not, right? And yeah, and the most of the products out there in the market are typically your aggregators or marketplaces who want to sell products, right? You go to, a mutual fund platform, they just want you to, invest your money somewhere, right? I mean, you hear things like, start with 500 rupees investing, right? Start with as low as 100 rupees, right? But nobody is going to actually give you true advice on what is a better way to manage your money, right? Yeah. So right now what we're doing is, we are building a holistic financial planning tool, right? So that's going to be there to help you with any financial decision that you have to make, in your life, right? So the focus, till now has been on increasing the reach of this product. For example, if you look at a simple thing like, online insurance or online mutual funds, right? From your 2000 from 2010 12 till date, the objective has been to increase the reach of these products to people. Before this is they were kind of, very niche, they would only be sold by, some or the other uncle who is trying to sell you an LIC policy and stuff. Now the next phase for this is going to be on personalized advisory, right? What fits for you may not fit for me, right? Every person is unique, every, case is unique, so you need to provide advice, from case to case basis, right? Now, so we want to take the focus away from what I would say selling these products, because the selling is not the objective for us anywhere, right? Giving good advice to you is my objective, right? For example, let's say you come to me saying ki, hey Banu, I have like, 3 lakh rupees with me, what should I do, right? The first thing I'm going to tell you is create an emergency fund. Put, 1.5 lakh rupees, or, whatever the amount we calculate it to be, right, in a fixed deposit. Now I'm not going to get anything if you park your money with your HDFC bank, right? I'm nowhere in this play, right? Yeah, you may get some money. I mean, I may make some money in case if you invest somewhere or if you do somewhere, but that may not be an optimal solution for you, right? Yeah. So our focus is going to be on solely helping users to make better decisions, not, just trying to sell or push some product to them.
So, what would this look like? Like, would it be like a mobile app in which you enter information about your financial status and assets and liabilities, and then it gives you advice through an algorithm? Is that what it would look like?
I would say 80% of it would look like that, because most use cases can be, automated, or you can have like a predefined solutions and conditions, right? At the same time, there will be many cases which may not be possible to kind of, automate or to automatically calculate stuff. So there will have like, the real advisors who will be talking to you, understanding your case, and then, going from there.
Okay. So, this product that you're going to make, it'll be like a subscription product, or like how will you monetize it?
Yes, it's going to be on a subscription, method. So our belief is that, when I'm giving advice to you, right, I should be completely giving it only because this is going to actually help you as an advice, right? Now, in the current ecosystem, what happens is that, the incentives are kind of, at times can be misaligned. As in, for example, let's take a simple case of a regular mutual funds, right? So any platform that is out there, you have a better incentive if you push a mutual fund that is going to give you a better commissions, right? You don't want to kind of simply sell, an ETF or a debt mutual fund where you make like 0.5% compared to a small cap fund that's kind of giving you like 1.5%, right? Yeah. So I mean, there are platforms that kind of give honest advice, but still your incentives can be at times misaligned, right? And at the same time, you cannot look at all these things independently, right? So our plan is that, if you think our advice is not working for you, you're not going to pay me next year, right? So both of our incentives will be aligned. In case if I'm my only, revenue source is, if my customers are my only revenue source.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. And you would kind of leverage the Zerodha platform for people who actually want to go ahead and invest money. Like within the app, people would be able to do transactions through Zerodha. Like, would that
Yeah,
be?
yes. So our focus is mainly on, people who are not participating in these markets per se, right? So I mean, we're not giving any solutions to people who want to invest directly in stocks per se, right? So a good user, or a good user for us to start off with would be somebody who kind of just graduated out of college, got his first job, right? And he's able to save like, like 10 15K a month, let's say, right? So how do you plan for this person's future, right? So we're going to kind of cover everything from insurance to your retirement planning, right? Any financial plan should essentially start with protecting your downside. I mean, it's you have to focus on growing your money, but before you get there, you should first try to protect your downside, right? And insurance is a place where you start with to safeguard yourself from. I mean, and this is coming from my personal experience, right? So when I joined IIM Ahmedabad in 2016, I had no key. I'm not going to have any income, so I didn't want to be any burden on my parents, right? In case if anything is required for me, right? So the first thing I did was I bought a health insurance, right? Now I didn't use it in 2016. I didn't use it in 2017. I didn't use it till last quarter of 2018 when I caught with dengue, right? And I was hospitalized for almost 15 days, I believe. And the medical bill came out to be 70,000 rupees in a small hospital in Ahmedabad. Like it's not even like, your five-star or, multi-specialty hospitals, right? Now, if I didn't have the insurance back then, we would have been bankrupt and, we would have, packed our bags and moved back, right? When we were moving from month on month, paycheck to paycheck sort of a thing, and 70,000 would have kind of simply pushed all of us out completely, right? Yeah. So I mean, it's like this, right? I mean, I always used to think that I'm unnecessarily paying 10,000 every year to these guys where I'm not getting anything out of it, right? But in the third year of my insurance, I kind of that is something which saved us.
Hmm, 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 hmm. Okay, okay. And you said that you would also have like human advisors in addition to some automated suggestions. So that would end up being pretty expensive, no? If you have like human advisors talking to the users. I mean, so we're not talking of something which will cost couple of $100 a month. Like it might end up being costlier than that, right?
I mean, you're right. It's going to kind of, push up the costs, but I believe that is the right thing to do, right? Just copy pasting, the same solution to everybody is not going to work. And the other belief is that since we're not giving stock advisory to people, right? So we're not going to have, for example, if I talk to you and set up your entire financial plan and, chart out your plan for the future, right? It's not like you're going to come to me every week asking ki what is happening, what is not happening, right? You may have like you want to review things couple months down the lane, right? Yeah, 3-4 calls at max in an entire year, right? So yeah, and most use cases, right, can be automated. For example, like I said, right? So what is a good amount of a house loan that you can take, right? If you purchase a house for 70 lakhs, how is that is going to affect your retirement, right? Or compared to if you purchase a house with 1 cr, right, will you have to forego that foreign trip you have been planning, right? Now people typically kind of look at all these things in different silos, but all these things are actually very well highly interconnected stuff, right? What financial decision that you make this year is going to have an impact on how much money or how much expenses that you can make 5 years down the lane, right? Yeah, so you need to look at all these things in a holistic fashion.
Hmm, hmm. Okay. So this, I imagine, would be a pretty complex product to build. No, I mean, you'd have to take into account so many different variables, and like, what do you see is the timeline for launching this? And like, how big is this project that you're planning to do, or are you planning to launch a simpler version and make it complex as you go along?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, this is going to be pretty complex. So, like I said, it's the first initial version that we had planned, right? Was to take one small use case, like somebody who just graduated out of college, maybe say like with an education loan, and yeah, you start from there, right? And slowly we'll kind of go forward. And yeah, in fact, we wanted to launch this like in the month of May itself, but after COVID, the situation of the economy or the stock markets per se, right, is not that encouraging, I would say. And we didn't feel like the markets are good at that point in time to kind of get into and invest, because we don't know what we are getting into, right? A small economic downturns can always be accounted for in when you're building your portfolios, but something like the scale of COVID or something like this is kind of we never saw anything like this before, right? And we were not convinced that we should even be putting our money in any of these things, and we kind of withdrew our own money as well from wherever we have invested. Right now, when you're not doing when you're not investing, you should tell somebody else to go ahead and invest. So we said, we're not going to launch this product, right, until we feel the time is correct for this.
You would like these advisors, would they be like you would hire people on your payroll and then train them and all, or would you like work with existing financial advisors and like what's the plan there?
Well, at least for the initial few days, we want it to be, completely in-house, right? So right now, the problem for most financial advisors, right, is that the same person has to take care of marketing, customer service, and research and portfolio building and everything as well, right? Now, with us, what we kind of, plan to do is that, the advisory and all those things are going to be handled by a separate team, and the financial advisory, like talking to each and every customer and then figuring out the solutions, will be kind of handled by a different set of people, right?
The are there comparable products or companies which are doing this in the US or any other market, like what you're planning to build?
Yes, I think there are a couple of them. We have what do we call this? A website like Wealthfront and Betterment, right? Yeah, yeah. But again, they are pretty much focused only on investments, right? Now, well, it's like you whatever money you're saving, the platform is going to help you, right? Now, our belief of financial planning is that it has to be an end-to-end solution, right? I have to account for everything that you have, like starting from your insurances to your investments, to, let's say, you're planning to take some loans, right? Now you should be able to get advice on that as well, right? So that's what we're going to do is, I mean, obviously we're not going to have all of this in the product right from the start. We may start, we'll be starting off this with insurance. Most likely in the next 2 to 3 months we may get this out, right? And once we are done with the insurance, then we're going to bring in the basic level of financial planning, and from there we kind of going to build and upgrade the product as we go forward.
Okay. So would it also have integration so that you can actually see what is your portfolio worth? For example, let's say you recommend to a user that invest in equity mutual funds, and then he's able to do those investments through uh, the Finception product, and he's also able to see what is the present value of his investments, and he's able to see what is his insurance and what is the loan amount due and all of that. Like, are you planning all those integrations? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, yeah, it has to be like one-stop solution for anything you want to do with your finances, right? And the bigger problem for people, right, is not about finding these products, but about making this decision on what is good for you and what is not good for you, right? For example, you may purchase like insurance like two times into your entire lifetime, and nobody has ever trained you on this, right? And if you make a mistake here, I mean, you will see the benefit, or you get to see these things only when you have to use these products, right? I mean, god forbid, you wouldn't want to use any insurance product, right? Yeah, you may want to buy a health insurance, but you wouldn't want to be in a place where you go and use this, right? You claim some benefits and stuff, right? Now, and when you realize that you actually signed up for a wrong product, you would be kind of completely caught. You're not even in a situation to cover it up or amend for it, right?
Hmm, 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 hmm. Yep. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Got it. Got it. Pretty interesting. So, what do you see as the next level of learning that you personally need to do? Like, what is it that personally drives you that this is something I want to learn?
Hmm. Well, I think it's about scaling up the team right now. I mean, one of the biggest challenges for us has been, kind of hiring good people into the team, right? Because I mean, on the face of it, people look at, like, at least like back when we were hiring developers, right? In November, when we had like hardly 50,000 subscribers, and people looked at simply like, okay, it's just a blog, right? And we didn't have a product out there to showcase it to the people, right? I mean, any techies would typically want to work on big products and stuff. You wouldn't want to work on a simple newsletter website per se, right? Yeah. So for us, the challenge still kind of remains on the hiring front, I would say.
Hmm. Okay. So, why did you make the move from Ahmedabad to Bangalore?
We wanted to I mean, our product is going to be kind of integrated very well with Zerodha, right? So we felt it will be kind of more convenient if you work out of here. And at the same time, hiring tech and other resources in Ahmedabad is a bit difficult. Right now, yeah, we had options between Bangalore and Hyderabad, but again, no, we would have got same kind of tech resources. But since Zerodha is here, we felt it's going to be more convenient for us. And at the same time, Zerodha has been kind enough to provide us with the working space as well, right? So in their head office, they have space for so all the startups that they incubate until you kind of grow into a big team like 25, 30 people. You can work out of their office itself. They have working space for all the startups there. So that kind of again helps us kind of save some money as well.
Right. So, why would SEBI regulate you? You're not actually selling anything, any financial product, right?
No, if you're, I'm giving you advice, right? Now I'm going to tell you ki, okay, of 30,000 rupees that you're going to save, you put 10,000 rupees in mutual fund A, or in particular ETF, right? So anybody who is advising people, right, should be qualified enough, and you should have the investment advisory license from SEBI.